For many years now, in seminars that I've been conducting or conferences where I'm speaking, I mentioned to the audience a personal growth program might be, if it does not have a spiritual foundation, in my opinion, it's incomplete. This program definitely has a spiritual foundation. I'm Bob Proctor, and I want to talk to you on the law of receiving. Here's a line from it. He who seeks a greater life with getting as his objective does not seek life in trueness of spirit. In other words, they're going to have a problem. They are definitely going to have a problem. Now let me read another highlight from this program, and that's exactly what this video series is. It's a series of highlights that I've gleaned from this over many years of studying it. In a state of limited understanding, we reason that we must get before we can give. And then we turn and walk in the same mental rut as before by reasoning that we must give before we can get. But in our lack of understanding, we continue to leave the getting idea foremost in our thought, and we shut out the spirit of giving. Now, giving, which is the first fundamental law of life, is the first law of all creation. The attitude of getting is the law of life in a congested state. Now, I'm going to repeat that. The attitude of giving is the law of life in a congested state or a repressed action. As long as getting dominates a mind, that mind is in a paralyzed condition, being limited in its action in accordance with the fundamental law of creation. Many years ago, I had a wonderful mentor who's gone now, and I really miss him. Leland Valvandeval. He was a big man in stature, but in understanding. And he taught me something very valuable very early in my career in this business. He said, Bob, you must willingly give and graciously receive. He said, you have to understand that this entire universe is based on a law of circulation. You've got to keep the energy circulating. You're merely a terminal through which it flows. You see, I have since come to the understanding that you and I are here to do God's work. Now, God being the creator, work is creation. God's work is creation. And so you and I are given creative faculties. And through the proper use of these creative faculties, everything starts to happen in a very good way for us. We have to understand the laws. Well, we have to understand that receiving is a law. Now, before you can receive, you have to create a space for it. In the last chapter in the Born Rich book, or the program that I did a number of years ago, I talked about the vacuum law of prosperity. You must create a space for the good that you desire. Now, to create a space for the good that you desire, you must give something. You have to let go of something before you can receive something. As you activate ideas in your mind and send off a charge of energy, your brain will take on an equal amount of energy of a like nature. If you send out a negative thought, your brain is going to take on an equal amount of negative energy. However, if you send out a positive energy, your brain is going to take on an equal amount of positive energy. This is so basic, and yet it's so misunderstood. You see, we've got to be relaxed if we're going to have this happen. You've got to put yourself in a totally relaxed state. And you have to operate with understanding. Now, I'm not suggesting this is going to happen just because you're watching this video. But it will happen if you continue to watch it over and over and over again. Something's going to click inside. I have found through repetition, our perception of life changes and changes dramatically. See, perception is one of our intellectual factors. It enables us to see life in many different ways. As we increase our awareness, our perception of life changes. Well, we've got to realize that everything we're seeking is seeking us. We've got to be open to the good that we're looking for in life. We've got to understand that the only way to receive good is to give good. We've got to put it out and we take it on. If I cause someone I come in contact with to feel good about themselves, I am going to feel good because I put that good through me to get to them. So you see, I receive simultaneous with giving. They're all hooked together. You can't separate them. It's the flip side of the coin. But before we can receive, we've got to give. Now, it's like we say, how can I give if I haven't got it? But you have got it. You have got it. You give what you have got. You see, I think you should give your time, your energy, your loyalty, your knowledge, your money. Keep giving it, and you're going to keep getting more. When we open ourselves up to receive, we're going to find that we are in a relaxed state. Let me read you something that Hollywell pointed out. When we relax from strain, the law has a chance to reply to our desires, and things begin to change for us. Have you not seen this work in trivial things such as books or clothing or invitations or a desire to see a certain friend? Possibly at some time you sent out a thought or a desire and then forgot about it. Just totally forgot about it. The next thing you knew, you had the book presented to you. You received an invitation. You were walking down the street and bumped into the friend that you desired to meet. It happens all the time. But you see, if we're focused on it and we're straining and we're really, trying everything we've got, we're uptight. It doesn't happen. My wife and business partner, Jerry Robert, and I were sitting in a restaurant the other night. And it was rather interesting. We had just sat down, and this woman came over, and she was bubbling over. She said, I can't believe it's you. I just can't believe. I said to my partner, did you see who just walked in here? And she said, I just can't believe it's you. And then she pulled the secret out of her purse. And then in a very excited fashion, she waved to her partner to come up. He was the chairman and CEO of a company. She was the president and chief operating officer of the company. The company is World Moon Resorts. Their brand is the moon. How'd you like to have that for a brand? Everybody on earth can look up and see their brand. Doesn't matter where they are. Well, she started to tell us a story, how they were working on this project. They've been working on it for about 10 years. That they've been working on this project, and they had spent millions of dollars and all of their time, and they were almost ready to give up. And I guess when they're almost ready to give up, they just sort of relaxed. And someone gave them the secret, and the secret fired them up again. Now, we were listening to them. We weren't quite sure what they were talking about, moon resorts, and they were going to build this place in Abu Dhabi, over in the UAE, and it was going to be the largest project in the world. 60,000 condos. And we're looking at them and listening. We're thinking, wow, this is really getting pretty interesting. Then they gave me their 2 business cards. And they said, here's your ticket to the moon. Now, he ran out to the car and come back in and gave us a DVD. I got home and I watched the DVD. Well, it almost blew my mind. It was absolutely incredible. I want you to go to their website and take a look at it. It's just www.worldmoonresorts.com. It's phenomenal. And these 2 people were so excited by what they received. But they had been giving. They'd been putting out for years. And somebody walked up and handed this to them. And I thought, well, if they're that excited over the secret, I'm going to excite them some more. So when I got home, I sent them a Science of Getting Rich program, big box in a briefcase, and they got it the next day. Tonight, Jerry and my business partner, my wife and I, and Sandy, another business partner of mine, we're going to have dinner with them. They're leaving for Abu Dhabi tomorrow. But they're fascinating people. They're operating with a huge idea. These people are really into understanding this. And they're putting out and they're receiving. But you've got to understand, it's the thought that you give it with that makes the difference. Do you know, there's an interesting story that Billy Graham tells about one time. This is when they were struggling. This is when Billy Graham was really just starting out. And $100 probably would have rented a real nice place for a month. and bought the food that you needed. But at any rate, the collection plate come around, and he put a $100 bill in. And later on, he says to his wife, "My goodness, I thought I put $20 in. I put $100. And she looked at him, she said, "Isn't that too bad? You're only going to get the good back for putting 20 out." And I thought, what a great story. And that's exactly the way it is. You'll say, "But he gave 100, wouldn't he?" No. The thought that he gave it with, he was giving 20. You see, it's thinking that controls everything. It's the thought we give it with. In the Science of Getting Rich, we talk about leaving everyone with the impression of increase. Why? Because by giving out good, we're going to receive. See, the giving and the receiving are all tied together. They're not separate. You've got to be open to receive, but you'll be open to receive when you really understand the concept of giving. This is an orderly universe, and energy is forever moving. You have to understand that your life is full right now. Now, it may not be full of what you want, but your life is full. Your calendar is full. All your time is spoken for. You'll say, "Well, it's really not. I've got a lot of wasted time." That's how you're using it then. We must replace the waste with productivity. And for everything in your life you don't want, it's part of what your life's full of. What you've got in your life is a reflection of what you've been giving. And if you want greater good, you've got to give greater good. The more good we put out, the more we're going to take on. We don't have to worry about what we're going to receive. Let's understand the receiving is governed by law. And the basic law behind it is in giving. And as you give, you receive. You see, if you're sitting in a chair right now, you couldn't put anything where that chair is until you get rid of the chair. This is why the vacuum law of prosperity is such a beautiful concept. Nature truly abhors a vacuum. You give, and you give in abundance, pressed down and running over. And I guarantee you, you'll never have to worry about what you're going to receive. But like my old mentor said, we've got to willingly give and graciously receive. And you see, willingly giving, that's the expression of a lot of faith. But it isn't blind faith. It's faith based on understanding of these laws. So as you dig into this law of receiving, start to think of who you can give to, what you can give, where you can give, and then give everywhere you go. Give the very best you've got. And you know something? You'll receive the very best the universe has. It's sitting there waiting for you. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you. Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor, and I want to talk to you about the law of increase. You see, I'm betting that you would like everything in your life to increase. I bet you want more love. I bet you want better health, more energy, more money, more business. And that's very natural. You should want it. But you've got to understand you can have it. That's the beautiful truth. There is an infinite source of supply. I love the way Thomas Troward put it. When you're dealing with infinite, you can never take more than your share. See, if we had a pie, and we'd cut the pie maybe in 6 pieces, we can all relate back to this when we were kids. If you wanted a bigger piece of pie, someone had to get a smaller piece of pie. But we're not dealing with a pie. We're dealing with creation. And we can make a bigger pie, and then everyone can have a bigger piece. Increase in life is based upon laws. Do you know there's a marvelous series of programs that you probably have and you probably love, The Science of Getting Rich. In fact, it was The Science of Getting Rich that The Secret was based on. It was The Science of Getting Rich that Rhonda Byrne read. Her daughter gave it to her, and everything started to happen in her head. Well, Lloyd Conant gave me The Science of Getting Rich in 1968. It wasn't long after that, and I come across Raymond Holliowell's work on the law. I was looking for a book or a program that explained the law in practical, everyday person's thinking way of life. And I was having difficulty finding it. I had books on the law, but Most of them were so heavy, the average person would have just died trying to understand them. And I got picked up at O'Hare Airport in Chicago one day by a lady that was taking me to the hotel to do a seminar. And she had a bench seat in the front of her car. And beside her was a big brown paper shopping bag. And when I get in the car, she says, "You want to look in that bag? I found a new bookstore." And I put my hand in and I pulled out this green book, Working with the Law by Raymond Holliwell. And I looked at her and I said, "You've got one less book. I'm taking this book with me. I have attracted this book. I have been looking for this book for a long time." Now, in that book, Holliwell talks about all this information that we're sharing with you. Mary Morrissey and I have studied the same material for a long time, and we've created this program that you're involved in right now. And you see, this series of videotapes is really just an overview of these laws, and the law of increase is one that you really want to understand. If you're going to increase anything in your life, you have to raise it. Now, you may say, "Well, how do you do that?" Well, in the Science of Getting Rich, the 7th chapter is on gratitude. And the more grateful you are, the more you're going to receive. But you've really got to be grateful. Now, praising and gratitude are very much along the same line. See, we want to praise our source of supply. We want to praise Spirit. We want to praise abundance. And it's going to come into our life. Now, let me share something right out of the book. Listen very carefully to this. Have you ever had someone condemn or criticize your efforts when you were given the best you thought you had and really tried to please them? I'm sure you have. I know I have, and I'm sure you have. Didn't you feel like folding up and just quitting? Just say, "It's over." Perhaps even felt like quitting the job and letting someone else worry about it. Well, least of all, such an experience suppressed your interest, your zeal, you see. And you did not desire to do better. Now, Holliwell is mentioning this. That's how one reacts when the law is reversed. Whereas when someone praises you for efforts, you feel like expanding and doing better, trying harder to be more perfect. Your interest becomes greater because of that pleasure. And within your happiness, you bring happiness into your work and all around you. It is a well-known fact that every plant is responsive to praise. For I have even seen flowers praised to longer life and beauty. We say a person that praises the plants has a green thumb. You say that person just has a green thumb. They've got such beautiful gardens, but they love their gardens. They love them. They send nothing but loving energy to the plants. Well, when you send loving energy to your source of supply, you're going to find that increase is just automatically going to happen. You're just going to get more. Do you know, I have read time and time again, and I experienced this myself, so I know it to be true, that people that are very successful in something have a very difficult time differentiating between work and pleasure. And that is because they love what they're doing. They're forever grateful for being able to do what they're doing. They do praise it. And the more you praise what you're doing, or the people that's working with you, the more you're going to win. It's been proven that a failing business can be praised into success. Suppose lost friends have returned their affections when the law of praise was used. Think about this. When you put good into anything, good's going to come back. We started this whole series out with thinking. We pointed out that every great leader that has ever lived has been in complete unanimous agreement that we become what we think about. Well, if you think bad thoughts, and if you're looking at things and you're looking at the downside and you're condemning and criticizing everyone, what kind of a vibration are you in? But if you're looking at what they do good, you're looking for the good in everything and you're praising them, what happens? Do you know that a child that is raised with criticism grows up very insecure human being? It's true. This is a known fact. The child that's raised with praise grows up very confident The child that's raised with criticism usually struggles throughout their life. The child that's raised with praise goes on to become a great leader and very confident. This is so obvious. It's true in plant life. It's true with money. It's true with your friends. Praise your friends. Praise what they're doing. I guarantee you they're going to think better thoughts of you. They're going to be looking for what they can do for you. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. Praise changes our observation, our whole outlook of life. In the past, we were in the habit of seeking our weaknesses and failings, as well as the shortcomings of others. But now we see differently. You see, praise changes your perception. Now think of this for a moment. If you're going to praise people for what they're doing, you're first going to have to look for something they're doing good. And if you're looking for something they're doing good, what you're doing is you're using one of your higher faculties, one of your creative faculties called perception. You're looking for it. You're seeing the good in it. And then when you see it, you want to make them aware that you see it. Well, this doesn't just work with people. This works with plants. It works with animals. It works with all of life. Because we've got to realize that intelligence is omnipresent. There's intelligence in a garden rock. There's just no conscious awareness of the intelligence. See, intelligence is omnipresent. We're talking about a power that's 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. Yet this power operates in a very exact way. It's by law. So it only makes sense that if praise works with people, it works with plants, works with animals, it works with all of life. And if we're going to praise anything, we're going to have to see the good in it. We want to look for the good, and then we want to praise it. Now, if I were looking for the bad, you're not going to praise bad. You're going to criticize it. You're going to condemn it. You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel sorry for yourself. But if you're using your perception to find the good in life, then it's going to become easy to praise it. Be grateful for it. See, praise is it's a great concept. And you want to know something? It is the basic foundation governing the law of increase. If you want to increase anything in your life, begin to praise it. Be grateful for whatever you've got and see greater good coming. Now remember, we talked about receiving. You've got to be open for it. You've got to be relaxed. If you want to receive increase, you've got to be open, you've got to be relaxed, you've got to praise what you've got. I know that you're enjoying this series. I know you are, because I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying sharing this. Now, if I'm enjoying sharing this with you, I know that you're enjoying receiving it. What I want to suggest is you do what I'm doing. It works. It's helped me earn millions of dollars. It's helped me build an enormous abundance of friends all over the world. It's helped me build a business right around the world. So I want you to do what I'm doing. I am enjoying sharing this. And I'm praising you for using it. You go and extend it. Let's keep this energy flowing. To me, to you, through you. Who are you going to give it to? You know it works. You want to increase? Praise what you've got and share it. Willingly give it and graciously receive it. The law of increase is based on a fundamental principle: praise. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you. You know, it's written in the good book that whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Well, you know, Emerson said that was the law of laws, and he said if that law didn't exist, we should invent it. I'm Bob Proctor, and I want to talk to you about the law of compensation. I first learned the law of compensation from Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale explained it probably better than anywhere I've ever read it. Now, I've read Emerson's essay on compensation, and we, of course, have the law of compensation here in this Working with the Law series. But the law of compensation is a law that we must understand. And we must understand it if we're going to apply it. And when we do apply it, we're going to find that the universe is very friendly towards us. The law of compensation is based on 3 steps. The amount of money or good you receive is going to be in direct ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. I want you to think about that for a moment. the amount of money or the good you receive in life is going to be based on just 3 points. The need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there will be in replacing you. You see, I quickly learned that there is a phenomenal need for what we do in our business. People are confused. People do not understand the laws. People are watching to what's going on in the world. We're dealing in a very fast-changing world. The world's not getting bigger, the world's getting smaller. We're dealing in a world market today. You're only just a touch of a button away from anywhere in the world. We can look and watch what's going on the opposite side of the world on a television set that's strapped to our wrist the size of a watch. Hit a button today and we send a message to 1 million people all at once, and they get it wherever they are with email. Think of how the world has changed. It's changing so dramatically. And you know what it's looking for? It's looking for effective people. That's right. Everybody wants someone to serve them. Now think, is there a need for what you do? I would suggest there probably is. There's probably a great need for what you do. And you didn't even have to do anything to create that need. It's there. The second step is your ability to fill that need. How good are you at doing what you do? That's so important we understand that. Most people just do enough to get by. It's been often said that most people work just diligently enough so they don't get fired, and the company pays them just enough so they won't quit. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's in violation of the law of compensation. See, the second step, your ability to do it, is going to take care of the third step if you do the second step right. The difficulty there is in replacing you. When you become so effective at what you do, you're very difficult to replace. That's when your stock goes up. You will find that there will be people waiting in the wings to hire you, to pay you to go and work for them. When you perform your task to the very best of your ability, or when you are through your work and you do it well, you infallibly bring out the best there is in you. And you see, I learned a long time ago that if I make up my mind, I'm going to learn how to communicate this more effectively all the time, then my income is going to keep going up. My customers are going to keep coming. Now, we have people come to us from all over the world. That is not an accident. That is by design, and it's by law. Now, you might ask where you live. I live in Toronto, in Canada. Now, my office is in Phoenix, but I have other offices around the world, and I work with people all over the world. But how did you and I come together? I'm going to suggest that you and I came together because I made a decision many years ago that I was never going to stop attempting to improve the service I render. And hopefully, I would attract people like you into my life because I was giving the very best I've got and always trying to do it better. See, every day I study. I study every day. Now, I've been doing this since 1961. Prior to 1961, I never studied. Never did anything. I just tried to get by. And of course, I didn't do very well. I was earning just a little bit of money, and I was in debt over my head, and I had a difficult time finding work. Today, I don't have a difficult time finding work. I have a difficult time hiding from it periodically, but we work all over the world. Why? Well, 3 steps, law of compensation. The need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. Now, if you make up your mind that and understand that you have infinite potential, no one knows what you're capable of doing. The most erudite scientist alive will not even guess at what you're capable of doing. As far as energy is concerned, we've studied this many ways. You've got about 11 million kilowatt hours per pound potential energy locked up in the electrons in the atoms of your body. Your brain is an electronic switching station that boggles the mind of the wisest. Your central nervous system is the most phenomenal electrical system in the entire universe. It would make a supercomputer look like a toy. Do you know that the blood circulates through hundreds of miles of passageway every 33 seconds, just like that? It carries all the food in, all the garbage out in one sweeping change. Have you ever stopped and thought about the power that you represent? You've got all these mental faculties. You can tap into an infinite source of supply. Listen, when we talk about you, we're talking about something that is awesome. The highest form of creation on the planet. That's what you and I are. Now, are we using it? Well, for many years I didn't. My whole idea was just get by. But then I started to study this material, and it started to make sense. And I thought, I'm going to change. I'm going to change how I'm living. And I got into Earl Nightingale's material. Now, I got into Napoleon Hill first, then into Earl Nightingale's. And I began to study it. And I got into this law of compensation. Then I read Emerson's essay on compensation. Then I got into Raymond Hollywell's material on compensation. It's all telling us the same thing. It's up to you. It's up to you. The universe will give you whatever you ask for. But you ask in the form of providing service. You see, you get back exactly what you put out. You put a lot out, you get a lot back. We are raised with the misconception that you go to work to earn money. You don't go to work to earn money. Working is the very worst way to earn money. We have a company called the Chairman's Club. And the Chairman's Club is designed for one thing, to show people how to earn money. You just go to Life Success or lschairmansclub.com, lifesucceschairmansclub.com, and look it up. That's the sole purpose of it. And in that club, we show people how to earn money, how to set up multiple sources of income. But the whole thing is based on providing service. You got to provide service. See, the concept behind the club is that you can earn so much money when you're sleeping, you can do whatever you want when you're awake. Now that sounds bizarre to most people, but most people don't understand the law of compensation. We're raised with the idea you go to work to earn money. You don't go to work to earn money. You go to work to gain satisfaction. You should spend your days doing what you absolutely love to do. But compensation, think about it. Our compensation comes to us by law. It's based on three factors: the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there can be in replacing it. Now, I know you may have doubts. You may think, well, if I do more, I'm not necessarily going to get more. Well, you may not get it from where you're working. It may not come from there. It may come from somewhere else. You say, but the company makes up their mind how much I'm going to earn. No, they don't. You don't get your pay from the company. You get your pay through the company. Your pay comes from an infinite source of supply. You see, we've got a lot of these ideas wrong. And look, if you become bigger than your present position, by law, you must move ahead. That is an absolute law. That's the basic law of the universe. When something becomes bigger than the position that it's in, it moves on to the next space. And if your company is not going to give you more, there's going to be a dozen companies waiting in the wings for you to come along and help. The law of compensation is probably one of the most important laws. I would suggest that as you turn this set off and you stop watching this particular video, ask yourself, how good am I at what I'm doing? Could I get better at it? Could I get a lot better at it? How can I get better at it? Understand this, you've got the potential. You've got more power than you will ever hope to utilize. Are you applying it? Who does a better job at what you do than you do? Are you studying those people? Study their lives. Find out what they do. Do what they do. Read the books they read. The more you study this material, the better you're going to get at what you do. But always remember, the law of compensation is based on 3 points: the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. And as you go through all the material in these laws and you study the law of compensation, get the material, get the physical material and study it. It's all there. You're going to find that all the way through all this material, those three steps keep coming up. The law of compensation is based on what you do. Put the energy out there. Put the effort out. Get better at what you're doing. Say, I am going to get better every day at what I'm doing. And your whole world will improve. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you. You know, the law of non-resistance is a law that 9 out of 10 people violate. And because they do, they cause themselves a lot of problems. It's a pretty well-balanced individual that understands how to live in harmony and not let this get to them. The law of non-resistance. Think of this for a moment. When you go to do anything that's out of the box, where you're really going where you have never been before, you're going to meet with resistance. As a matter of fact, if you don't meet with resistance, you're probably going in the wrong direction. You're not going ahead. You're either going sideways or backwards. Resistance is a signal that you're moving into a new area. However, whatever you resist persists. And what we're suggesting here is that you do not resist the resistance. Now that sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but understand this. You and I are programmed to resist resistance. That's part of our animalistic nature, fight or flight. What we want to do is master this. And instead of fight or flight or react, let's respond. Do you know there's a beautiful concept? It's the law of psychological reciprocity that rests on this law. That law states, whenever you put good out, you'll get good back, but very rarely right away. When you put bad out, bang, you get it right back. Well, let's think about that for a moment. We'll use the martial arts as a metaphor here. Karate is a very hard form of martial arts. You whack me, I whack you. You kick me, I kick you. And we beat the daylights out of each other. That's resisting resistance. Karate is not the way we want to approach this. When somebody yells at us, let them yell. Let them vent all the negativity, but not hit back. Then you take judo. Judo is where you take the strength of the other person's shot and put them down. You don't win much doing that. It's reported that Sir Winston Churchill was a master at psychological judo. One time, Bessie Braddock, who had been a member of Parliament for Liverpool, said, Sir Winston, you're drunk and disgusting. He said, yes, madam, I am. And he said, you're ignorant. You're ugly. But he said, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be sober. You see, what did he do? He win the battle and lose the war. Lady Astaire one time said to him, Sir Winston, if I was your wife, I'd put arsenic in your coffee. He said, madam, if I was your husband, I would drink it. Resisted, he loses. George Bernard Shaw apparently had sent Sir Winston an invitation to Pygmalion when it came out in London, that we probably know better as My Fair Lady today. And on the invitation he put a written note, bring a friend if you have one. Sir Winston sent him a note back and saying that he was sorry he was tied up opening night, but he said if the play's still running the second night, I'd be glad to come and see it. And you see, psychological judo, you put the person down with the strength of their shot. You win the battle, but you'll lose the war. Now, there's another way to do it, the non-resistant way. It's called Aikido. That's where you take a shot at me, I duck and let it keep on going. I take it and I duck and keep. You kick, I duck and keep on, let it keep on going. I do not let you touch me. I don't fight back. I stay fresh. And when you've vented all your negative energy, I'm as fresh as a daisy and I can lead you to where you want to go. That's non-resistance. See, there's a law of non-resistance. Whatever you resist persists. So the next time you meet with resistance, rather than fight back, just let it go. It's not that important. And if you can get this law down pat, I guarantee you're going to have a good trip all the way to the top. Because you see, it's whenever we get out of the box, when we're moving ahead. I'm working on a new project. In fact, I've been working on it for a year. I have met with enormous amount of resistance. I just let it go. I just let it go. And I know when there's a lot of resistance on a program that I'm involved in, I'm on the right track. You see, if you're just going sideways, there isn't any resistance. You're doing something you already know. The law of non-resistance of these 11 laws that you're getting, this is one of the most important. Burn it into your mind and remember, don't react, respond. I remember to close off with, I was doing a seminar with a bunch of teenagers in Hawaii one time. And I asked the kids, I said, what's the difference between reacting and responding? This one little 15-year-old girl looked off into space. And she put her hand up. And she says, reacting is a habit. To respond, you have to think. It was the best answer I'd ever got. 15 years old. To react is a habit. To respond, you have to think. Think of this. When you react, whatever it is that's causing you to react wins. You lose. When you respond, you win. The law of non-resistance. It's a great law to understand. Use it, and you'll win. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.